All right, everyone. It is 10 o'clock on the dot, so let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to say good morning and welcome to everybody for today's webinar in partnership with College of the Canyons and CalVet and the California Transition Assistance Program. My name is Derek Rose, and I'm a training coordinator for the CalTAP program. And today we are going to be presenting a presentation titled Maximizing Your Education Benefits. So we have a lot of information today, and we have some guest speakers that are going to come on and provide some benefits and resources information as well. So we have a whole wealth of information to share with you. So we're glad that you're joining us today and taking some time out of your day to participate in today's webinar. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. But before we get started, I want to kind of go over some general housekeeping items for the day. We do ask if you're not a panelist to please keep your microphones muted and your cameras turned off. This just helps eliminate some of the bandwidth and distractions that are used that is used for the presentation today. As far as the agenda goes today, like I said, we have quite a bit of information to cover, so we're going to push through and get you this information the best way possible. So we're going to kind of begin by going over an overview of the CalTAP program, as well as some California specific benefits and resources that may be available to you as a veteran or your family members here in this state as well. And then we are going to transition into our local interagency network coordinator who serves the Los Angeles region, Mr. Anthony Rodriguez. And then we are going to cover our education benefits portion of the webinar. After we have gone through the agenda, we're going to allow some time at the end for some Q&A. So if you have any questions in relation to anything that you heard or you want some clarification on, we'll be happy to take that time to speak with you and answer any questions you have. So as far as submitting questions, you can utilize the Q&A feature right there on your toolbar. If you're just not familiar, this is just kind of a screenshot of how to use that Zoom chat feature that I would assume probably a lot of people are familiar with by now. So on our end, I have my colleagues working on the other end using that chat feature. So we're going to go ahead and use the chat feature to send out additional links and resources to you as attendees. But if you have questions you'd like to submit, please use that Q&A tab. That will allow all of the panelists to view that question, and the appropriate subject matter expert can chime in appropriately. So please use that Q&A feature to submit your questions. Okay, well, let's go ahead and start with the overview of the CalTAP program. Again, my name is Derek Rose, and I am training coordinator here for CalTAP, United States Navy veteran. I also was a student veteran, so I can kind of relate to kind of the transition process that student veterans are going through. So really, you know, it's really cool to be able to come full circle and speak with you all today and provide these benefits and information to you all as well. So exactly what is CalTAP? Well, our program is designed to inform and connect veterans of all eras to their federal and state benefits. And we do like to say all eras, because we know that certain veterans' needs change over time. The needs of a recently separated post 9/11 veteran who's a student veteran perhaps may not be the same needs as let's say a Vietnam era veteran, right? In relation to healthcare needs or additional needs as well. So the way that we've created our program is through our 5 pathways. And those pathways are our core veterans curriculum, which is essentially Veterans Benefits 101. And we're going to dive a little bit into that briefly today before we get started. As well as our additional pathway programs, right? So our education, employment, entrepreneurship, and our veteran service providers pathway as well. So if your transition is going to be taking you into one of these key areas, we've designed our online pathway learning module program that's very user-friendly to help you kind of navigate getting started under each one of these pathways. But before we kind of dive a little bit deeper, I did want to share with you a copy of our California Veterans Resource Book. This is a great tool to keep handy. It's basically an A to Z listing of all of your veterans benefits as you can imagine. Anything from your federal VA benefits to your education benefits to state benefits, local benefits, where your nearest VSO office is located per your county. It's just really a great tool to keep handy. If you don't have a hard copy, I do suggest downloading the PDF version through our website, and we can actually send the link to that in the chat right now. So just encourage you to kind of keep this handy. It's a great tool to refer to in the future if you have like additional questions or need additional information. So to find our CalTAP program directly, this is our main page on our Calvet website. You can see that icon down there on the right-hand side where it says CalTAP, and you could go and click on that, and that would bring you to our main CalTAP page. And you can see each one of those pathways that I mentioned earlier. But I did like to highlight this yellow icon right here. This is our whole series of archived webinars that we've been hosting since we've kind of shifted remotely. So we've hosted a whole series of webinars that are kind of topic specific to veterans' needs, anything from mental health focused webinars to housing resources, to employment services webinars, and additional education based webinars. So you're more than welcome when you have additional free time and at your leisure to kind of go back and see all of the webinars that we've posted on our website, as well as our YouTube page to kind of just view those at your leisure. So how can you use our actual program online and kind of navigate our resources? So if you went to the CalTAP main page, best way to get started, I would say, just to go on that core curriculum pathway that I mentioned, and it's basically VA Benefits 101, like I said. So you can see all of the different modules that are within that pathway, anything from healthcare, how to enroll in VA healthcare, how to file a claim for disability compensation, and additional modules as well. But for the focus of today's webinar, we would kind of want to highlight this module 5, which is the California specific veterans benefits. So exactly what are they? What are they going to cover? We're just going to run through those pretty quickly today just to give an overview. But again, all of this information is in the California Veterans Resource Book. Like I said, as well as your state benefits, your federal benefits as well. So you can find everything that we're talking about today in this resource book as well. So just to kind of give an overview and kind of get started of the state benefits, kind of the main ones and the most commonly utilized and very popular benefit at the state is the college and tuition fee waiver for veterans dependents. So that waives the tuition and fees at any state funded school, which is a UC, CSU, or California Community College. This is specifically for veterans dependents, not the veteran directly. So if a veteran has a disability rating with the Department of Veterans Affairs, their child can go to school here in the state tuition free. It's a great program. And as you can see, it saves veterans several millions of dollars a year in tuition. So we do encourage you to assess your eligibility for this program. Maybe speak to a veteran service representative if you are thinking about or in the process of obtaining a service-connected disability from the VA. DMV programs, we partner with DMV on a few different programs. The most common one that veterans utilize is that driver's license designation. It just allows you to have the word veteran printed on your ID or driver's license. It's just a nice way to kind of show your veteran status and get those local discounts at your stores or any additional benefits that are offered to veterans. There's the Honoring Veterans license plate. That is actually a plate that's available to all California motorists, not just veterans, but it is just a way to kind of show your appreciation for the veteran community. And if you are a veteran, you can personalize your license plate with a logo or emblem or insignia from your period or branch of service. And there's the motor vehicle registration fee waiver. This is strictly reserved for veterans with a significant service-connected disability that somehow impairs their mobility. So this involves a physician's signature on the DMV form, and you can find out more about this if you contact your local county VSO, and they can give you the appropriate paperwork to get signed off and take to the DMV. Outdoor activities, California is a great place for recreational activities, of course. So you can actually apply for a reduced fee on your hunting and fishing license through the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, as well as a no-cost use of state parks operated facilities. If you have a 50 50% service-connected disability from the VA. You can also apply through that benefit through the California Department of Parks and Recreation. So another great benefit offered. Tax programs, there's the Disabled Veteran Property Tax Exemption. If you are a totally permanent, or I should say total disability rating of 100, which is total, you can apply through this benefit through your county assessor's office, to where you pay your property taxes, and they will process that exemption for you. Exemption amounts can be different based on the county that you live in, but if you do have that eligibility and you own a home, I would encourage you to apply for that exemption. There's the business license tax and fee exemption. If you want to sell any goods or products or services here in the state and you need a business license to do so, you can apply through your local office to have that fee waived. And then there's the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Program. I would classify this more as an entrepreneurship program, but there may be some tax advantages. That DVBE acronym, it is a certification that you can attach to your business if you're a disabled veteran business owner. And that certification allows you to have certain bidding preferences if you want to do business with the state of California. So encourage you to also apply for that if you do have that eligibility and are a veteran entrepreneur. Calvet Home Loans, this is a great program for home ownership here in the state. It's similar to your VA home loan that you may be familiar with, but you may not be familiar with the state. Calvet also operates its own home loan program. So you're probably saying, which one is better and how are they different? Well, I'll just a quick overview. So a VA home loan is you applying through a bank or a mortgage lender using your VA eligibility, and a Calvet home loan is issued directly through the state of California. You'd be paying your mortgage directly to Calvet. So what that means, it's more of a direct underwriting process for the veteran. It's just it's a little bit of a simpler process than applying for your VA home loan. It does use your VA home loan eligibility. And it kind of mirrors the VA home loans program as well, which provides full financing for veterans, competitive interest rates, and often a low or no down payment, just like your VA home loan. So we have a great home loans program at our headquarters in Sacramento. Highly encourage you to reach out to them if you're interested in home ownership. And it's totally no pressure. And their job is just to give the best information available to veterans who are interested in home ownership. So just wanted to present this to you to make you aware that Calvet operates its own home loan program as well. Calvet Women's Veterans, this division provides information, advocacy, and outreach and support to California women's veterans, and partners with the California Women's Veterans Leadership Council, and also manages the California Women's Veterans Roster, which is another great way to network and connect with other women veterans who may be going through career transitions or serve as mentors or advisors in your transitional journey. And that's their email address and their contact information and some of the work that they do and who they serve. And the same thing with our minority veterans program, information, advocacy, and outreach to minority veterans here in the state, as well as assisting unnaturalized veterans with citizenship and naturalization resources. And you can see their contact information on our website, a little bit of the work that they do and who they serve. Calvet also operates homes for long-term care, our California Veterans Homes. And those homes offer medical, dental, pharmacy, rehab, and social services. And you can see where each one of those homes are located. There's 8 homes here in the state of California. These homes have all different levels of care, from independent living all the way through skilled nursing facilities. So maybe this time of need isn't on your radar right now, but perhaps you know a veteran who's approaching this time of need, or just want the information for yourself in the future. When that time of need does come, you do have eligibility for residency in a Calvet Veterans Home. State cemeteries, you may be familiar with the National VA Cemetery Administration, but Calvet operates 3 state cemeteries here, and you can see where those are located in Seaside, Redding, and at the Yountville Veterans Home, which is in Napa County. So some common veteran websites that you've probably seen many times or maybe coming across is, of course, VA, right? va.gov. And you can navigate each one of their kind of pathways as well. Anything from healthcare, disability, education benefits, and your records. E-benefits, this is it's a good tool to track and manage all of the benefits that you're in receipt of. I do know that the VA is kind of getting away from e-benefits and moving more towards, I think, just processing everything through va.gov, but it's still a great tool to kind of stay on top of the benefits you're receiving. You can apply through benefits, through e-benefits as well. But it's just a great way to, print out your award letters, your disability awards and things of that nature. So My Health eVet, if you choose to receive your health care through the VA, this is a great way to track and manage all of your healthcare needs, from your prescriptions to scheduling appointments and maintaining all of your records as well. So I know that was kind of a quick overview, just kind of jam-packed with information, but we wanted to present that to you before we kind of get started. If you would like to stay connected with us and find additional information and basically just follow us along, there's a few ways that you can reach out to us directly. You can always send a non-DoD email to us at CalTAP, and we can make sure you get included on future notifications. And we can let you know what events are happening. We will also be posting a link to a survey to take after the conclusion of today's presentation. We do value your feedback, and we review that and try and implement that for future webinars to see how we can improve and just make sure we're providing the best information. You can register on My Calvet, which is a personalized way to kind of see what benefits that you may be in need of. It allows you to kind of create a profile and select what information you'd like to stay updated on in relation to your VA benefits. And you can follow us along on our social media platforms, and just make sure you're attending all of our future additional webinars. So that is my direct contact information. If you'd like to send me an email directly, clarification on anything that I covered in the overview, feel free to reach out. So with that, I will go ahead and transition and introduce Mr. Anthony Rodriguez, who serves as the Los Angeles link. It's kind of a play on words there. So I'll turn it over to Anthony, and he can tell you about some of the work that he does in your area. Anthony, all yours.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks everybody for having me. What a pleasure it is to be with you today. And just start off by saying that I'm a former Marine myself. Served during the 80s and was stationed in North Carolina, and happy to be here working with Calvet to assist you. As was mentioned, I am the local interagency network coordinator. That's kind of like the regional field agent in the Los Angeles and Ventura County areas. Thank you. Next page, please. And essentially, I want to tell all of you that in California, there's 8 of us who do a similar job as I do. And my area is the turquoise portion of the screen, as you can see. And as I mentioned, I cover Los Angeles and Ventura counties. California has probably the highest, California and Texas have the highest number of veterans in the entire country. But I think we have the greatest amount of coverage in the nation. My particular area, I cover roughly around 300,000 veterans who reside in this area. But you can see, as based on the colors, that we also have representatives who cover the San Diego Imperial County area, Orange County, the Inland Empire area, Central Valley area, the Central Coast area, the Bay Area, and the Northern California area. If you need to contact them, their emails are there. If you have a friend or somebody you served with, or you plan on moving or perhaps attending another school in that area, they're a great person to know. As I'll explain on this next page, please. Now, what we do as links is that we provide outreach services to many individuals. I personally go to LA Air Force Base at this time, and the Navy Base Ventura County, and I do pre-separation seminars for those who are about to separate. And we talk about the benefits that the state offers with them. I also do presentations with National Guard and reservists, and also groups like the Marine Corps League, American Legion, as well as CHP, LA Sheriff's Department, and other groups like that. But probably what my greatest asset to all of you is that I also work with a lot of agencies and attend a lot of meetings and association groups, and so that I can make referrals to you for local regional services. That's probably the best thing I can do. When you need somebody for a specific area in the LA and Ventura County area, I probably have a good name or someone I work with, and I can make a recommendation for you. Additionally, I work with local emergencies. If there was a disaster, I'd be called up to be a part of the state Office of Emergency team. And occasionally I'm asked to speak on behalf of CalVet in local communities. Next page, please. As I mentioned, a big part of what I do is connect veterans to benefits. We do an awful lot of work with employment and training. EDD is mentioned here in the AJCCs. LA County has this great organization called VPAN, Veteran Peer Access Network, which also does a tremendous job to connect veterans in the areas of employment and training and housing and other groups. I also work very closely with the local county Veteran Service Office. And as Derek was explaining, and he did such a good job at explaining the state and county relationship, they actually kind of are hands and feet locally, and they do the service-connected disability compensation claims for you, with us as well. We handle the appeal side. And so I work with them quite closely. Also, I have lots of contacts at the federal VA level in the healthcare services with Sepulveda and LA, and a lot of the community-based outreach clinics and the vet centers. Next page. So if I can help you, please give me a call. There's my work cell as well as my email. I'm here to help you. And in any way I can do that, I'd be pleased to do that. Back to you, Derek.
All right, Anthony, thank you so much as always. Just valuable information. Appreciate you. Thanks again. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Mr. Kirk Eller, and he's going to speak about educational benefits, best practices, and recommendations. So with that, Kirk, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Anthony, for that great information as a link as well. You guys are an important role. My name is Kirk Eller. I am also a training coordinator here at the California Department of Veteran Affairs California Transition Assistance Unit, or CalTAP. I've been with CalTAP for about a little over 2 years now, and I am also a Marine Corps veteran. I served from 1986 to 1990 as a helicopter crew chief. I did separate and began using my education Chapter 30 Montgomery GI Bill benefits, and I left a lot of those on the table after separating, and then I went back a little bit later in my life and began using my Chapter 31 benefits to complete my degree. So I'm going to go over a little bit of those, but also some ways that you can use your GI Bill benefits to the best of your ability and get the most out of them. That's really what this pathway and what this presentation is about, how to use those benefits individualized to you to get the most out of them. Next slide, Derek. So to access our education pathway from the CalTAP portal, you can click on that education pathway, which is highlighted there. Next slide. And the education pathway is a really nice pathway because it gives you 5 different modules that you can learn about the different schools, how to select a school, the different education benefits that may be available to those schools, and also if you're interested in the state schools as well. One of the other unique things about this website is if you have dependents and you're going to use the college fee waiver, this is a really nice place for them to go for selecting like state schools. It gives them an overview of those different schools that are eligible to use that fee waiver at. So it's actually kind of nice from the community colleges as well as the CSUs and the UCs. Next slide. So let's talk about your Chapter 31 or Chapter 33 or Chapter 30 benefits, or your GI Bill benefits is known to all of you. Your benefits are actually going to be individualized to you, and it's going to be based upon your length of service, active duty service. So those are going to be determining factors on how much of a benefit that you're eligible for. If you served a minimum of 24 months, you would be eligible for the maximum or 100% of that benefit. And that's going to allow you to receive 36 months of Chapter 33 education benefits. And now it's called the Forever GI Bill. We'll go over that a little bit later. And what that is that 36 months of benefits is going to provide 100% tuition coverage, as well as basic housing and allowance and coverage for your books. You will have up to 48 months of combined education benefits if you have Chapter 31 benefits eligible. We'll go over that a little bit more on what the Chapter 31 is as well. Next slide. Now, this Forever GI Bill actually was implemented in 2013, which ended a 15-year limit on the GI Bill usage. Previously, the Chapter 30 Montgomery GI Bill had a 10-year limit, and then the post 9/11 GI Bill after 2001 had set a 15-year limit to utilize those GI Bill benefits. If you did not use all those benefits within that time frame, you lost those benefits, which I did after the Chapter 30 benefits, I'm sorry to say. So this Forever GI Bill extends that out to forever. You never lose that benefit. It's eligible to you at any time, regardless of age or use. And it also provides GI Bill for Purple Heart recipients that received a Purple Heart no matter how much time and service they had, as long as it was active duty. It also restores GI benefits to any student that had a permanent school closure and lost those benefits during that time if they were enrolled in a school that closed. So those are kind of really good benefits if for the extension of the Forever GI Bill benefit. Next slide. It also increases your GI Bill benefits up to $2,300 a year if you have less than 12 months of service. So what that means is if you served 90 days and you are receiving about the 50% eligibility of your benefit, you would now receive about 60% of the benefit. So that increases about $2,300 per year. And it also extends out the education benefits for any of the veterans pursuing science, technology, and engineering degrees or a STEM degree. Typically because those degrees take more length of time and more units to complete a major. So they offer this expanded benefit for those specific majors. Next slide. And speaking of the STEM, it can provide up to 9 months of additional post 9/11 benefits with a maximum of $30,000 within that time frame. So if you're pursuing a STEM degree, you can receive those additional benefits as well. It also provides priority entitlement for 100% beneficiaries for post 9/11 that have more credit hours. Now keep in mind that if you are pursuing a STEM degree and you're receiving your GI Bill benefits and you're using a private school, you can't match a yellow ribbon program. So the yellow ribbon program is actually designed for those private universities or private schools that have a higher tuition cost. You would receive 100% of your benefit from the VA for your tuition, and it was still not going to meet the actual tuition cost. So the yellow ribbon program is kind of an agreement between the school and the VA to kind of meet in the middle to match that program so that they above the cost of what the VA usually would allow for tuition. And then also the STEM is not actually transferable to a dependent. So you want to keep that in mind as well for that GI Bill benefit. Next slide. And then speaking of transferability of GI Bill benefits, this is really actually going to be geared towards those active duty service members that have that benefit coming up to them when they separate. They would need to transfer that benefit prior to separation to their benefit, to their dependents, if they were planning on doing so. And it does have a significant increase in their contract. So you would have to have a minimum time left on your contract that you're currently serving under. And then it would also extend that contract out so many years beyond that to be able to transfer that GI Bill benefit. So it's really going to be geared towards active duty served personnel. So any veteran that's separated, this is not going to be applicable to be you. Next slide. And then also, if you want to gain access to information about your GI Bill benefits, you can actually go to the VA's website at va.ga.gov, va.ga.gov, I'm sorry, and then look for the eligibility and benefits tab, which is highlighted here, and you can see all the questions if you may have about your eligibility. You can also call the hotline for the GI Bill, which will be posted in the chat as well. And I actually like that hotline. I thought it was going to be a lot more cumbersome to use the GI Bill hotline. Actually, live people actually answer that phone, and they can actually access your records and once you give them some identity information, they can look up your eligibility and see how much benefit you have eligible and how much, if you used any, if so, how much you have remaining. Next slide. And then the VA also has a nice tool that's called the GI Bill comparison tool. This is a really great opportunity for you to select a school and research how much of your GI Bill benefit you can actually receive benefits for going to that school. You click on the link to search a school and you can filter it out how you like. You put in your veteran status, how much of your benefit you want to use, which one it is. Is it Chapter 35? Is it Chapter 33? And those types of things. How much active duty service time you had. So it can kind of individualize that filter down to specifically for you. And then you put in a city or school that you're interested in pertaining to and hit the search button there. Next slide. This will give you a feed out of whatever schools are within that region that you filtered, and it will provide you with your eligibility for 100% or 50% or whatever your criteria that you filtered into it. And it will give you how much your housing benefit will also be for that region. One of the other nice tools about this is it also filters out and it gives you some indication on if the school has any predatory practices or if they have any accreditation issues with the VA as well. So it's a nice tool that you can use to give you how much you're going to earn per month on your VA benefit. Next slide. This snapshot is just really an overview of the difference between a resident and non-resident for undergraduate degrees in the state of California, and just the costs of attendance. We all know the cost of college is very expensive, and this kind of gives you a reality check on looking on the costs of just the tuition, but fees for room and board, as well as books, transportation, and then any of your personal expenses. So you can kind of delineate between living in a resident halls or living with your parents, off campus, in an apartment or something like that for how much it's going to cost you annually to go to school here in California. Next slide. So now let's talk about using your benefits and how you can kind of get the most out of those 36 months. So typical bachelor's degree at a standard university is going to be about 120 units minimum just to have a graduation for a degree. But that's not including any of the prerequisite classes or remedial classes. And then oftentimes people take a lot of electives just to stay enrolled to be full-time. So if those electives aren't going to be geared towards your major, you're not going to get credit for those. You're still using up your eligibility or your benefit for them. So oftentimes that 120 credits is going to take more effort and more school time for you to reach that milestone. So with that being said, if you're enrolled full-time and taking 12 units and you're earning your Chapter 33 benefits, it's only going to cover about 116 total units. So you're going to fall short a little bit there before graduation. You're going to have to figure out how you're going to come up with those remaining units to graduate. Next slide. So the first tip we're going to tell you is take more than 12 units. If your workload and your ability to take up to 15 units, personally, that's a good way to go because you can actually increase your chances of graduating a little bit earlier and utilizing all of your benefits within that 36 months. Next slide. And how you would do that is taking 15 units. The GI Bill is still going to cover 100% of your tuition and provide you that housing and your BAH and for your books during those 15 units. So this can actually lead to you graduating up to a semester earlier. Next slide. Another one is consider certifying your time at 3/4 time. Next slide. And why that's important is because how that certifying at 3/4 time may extend those 36 months out to about 45 months. Just keep in mind, if you do decide to take the 3/4 time certification, you're only going to be collecting 3/4 of your BAH as well. So you're going to be, if you have rent or if you're paying monthly fees for living expenses, you're only going to be earning about 3/4 of what the actual benefit, not the 100%. So you have to keep that in mind, is where that's going to be affected as well. Now you can also use that California promise if you're going to a community college to offset that quarter cost as well. But if you're going to use the California promise and you're going to a community college, maybe you can qualify for more units at that California promise. Save that Chapter 33 for later on, once you get your community college units completely out of the way, and then forego the Chapter 33 until you actually get enrolled in a university towards your core and your major classes. Then you can extend out those benefits, maybe even possibly to save you enough to use towards a master's degree. Next slide. Third tip is to participate in a work-study program. Now, work-study programs are actually kind of nice because it gives the student available to interact with other veterans, or next slide, and actually work in a community-based area with the VA-related duties. So they're familiar with that possibly, and they can actually earn the federal state minimum wage. And they give them a flexible work schedule, and it could offset that last quarter cost of time if you're using your certification for a 3/4 time as well. Just keep in mind that you're not going to earn any BAH in between semesters and any quarters that you're off. So you want to keep that in mind as well. Next slide. Okay, tip 4. This is kind of an unusual one, is a withdraw versus F. I like to look at it as it's a no-win either way, because if you withdraw your class, you're going to have to make it up, and then if you take an F for a class, you're still going to have to make it up because you're not going to have the GPA to graduate. So either way, whichever you decide to choose is going to be an option for you. Either way, you're going to have to make up that class to meet those graduation standards for that major. Next slide. So what happens is, if you have to withdraw a class, it's not going to affect your GPA, but it may affect your stipend if it's not replaced. So what that means is you withdraw the class and then you won't get paid for that stipend. You'll still have that benefit available to you, but you're going to have to replace that class. So it's a time thing. You're just going to have to extend that class, that one out a little bit more, and replace the class. Then you can still use that remaining benefit. Now, if you take the F, it's not going to affect your stipend. You're going to get paid that benefit for that class because you did attend. However, your F and your grade point average is going to suffer, which could cause you to have to replace the class anyway if you don't meet the grade point average for graduation. So if you're not going to get credit for the class for an F, you're not going to you'll have to make up the class again as well. So those are kind of the unique situation where you would have to decide the right situation for you to take. Next slide. The last tip is to use the Veteran Resource Center. The Veteran Resource Center on campus, most universities and community colleges have a Veteran Resource Center. They are a great place for you to go, next slide, to access benefits. You can actually get information from the people that work there. If you're working through a VA work study, maybe you can work in a VRC and assist other students and the staff. There's a place for you to study, a quiet place. You can also have that meet up with other veterans and fellow service members there that you maybe served with and going to school. And you can also ask questions from the staff about the actual campus, maybe questions about attendance or your enrollment process, or maybe how to certify your benefits through the VA. All of those can be answered here at the Resource Center. The staff would probably have all that knowledgeable information, maybe information about applying for student aid, or just where things are at on campus. So it's a good place just to hang out, have that camaraderie with other veterans that are students, and a good place for you to study. Next slide. Financial assistance, the FAFSA, or the free application for financial student aid, even if you're planning on using your GI benefits, I highly encourage you to apply for the FAFSA application anyway. because the FAFSA is going to be a nice opportunity or for you to, if you're accepted for that, to use it down the road if you need to for some reason. It does take a while to go through the application process, so that's why I encourage you to fill out the application and then have that on file if you need to later. It's kind of like that trump card. You can pull it out. Oh, well, you know, you're certifying for 3/4 time. How am I going to pay for that last quarter time? Well, if you qualify for financial student aid, there's your kind of golden ticket. You can use that as in a pinch. Another thing is the California promise that we mentioned. It can waive. It used to be like the BOG fee waiver for community colleges. And this will allow you to waive some of those tuition fees for the community college level. Also, scholarships are kind of highly underutilized, I think, right now. A lot of people, I think, don't really want to put in that legwork to write an essay or something specific to have their school and provide money for them for their tuition. Scholarships are a great way to reduce the cost, maybe receive some financial assistance for tuition. You just have to research on your own what scholarships you may be eligible for, because there's a ton out there. And then also the Yellow Ribbon Program. The Yellow Ribbon Program was designed to assist veterans attending higher cost private universities that the VA was not going to meet that 100% tuition cost level. And then they would meet halfway in the middle above and beyond that tuition from what the VA would normally pay to meet those offset costs. Next slide. Okay, and now I'd like to talk about the VR&E, or the Veteran Readiness Employment Chapter 31 benefit. This was formerly known as the Vocational Rehabilitation and Employment Benefit for veterans. If you have a service-connected disability rating, and I don't even want to put a percentage in there because it's going to be unique to each one individual and how that affects your ability to work. If you do have a disability that prevents you from having gainful employment, you could be eligible for education benefits. What would happen is if that disability was aggravated, or it was causing you not to be able to be working full-time, and they mean gainful employment by able to earn a living. So you have to have a job that you can pay your rent, pay your bills, and live comfortably with that. If you have a disability that prevents you from having that job, then a caseworker will review your case, and then they will make a decision on your eligibility. Now, keep in mind, this is actually an employment benefit. So if you're not actually have a disability that prevents you from working, you may not qualify for this. So it's going to be unique to you. How you have that caseworker review that file and how you're going to be employable is going to be the determining factor on if you're eligible to use education benefits for that. If you do have a disability that prevents you from working gainful employment, you could be eligible for up to 48 months of education benefits paid by the VA, which will almost put you through a bachelor's degree, which to cover. Next slide. And then it will also, it has more to it than just the education program if you're eligible. It's actually a pathway and tracks of service that they're going to put you through. So it's not really an education program. They will provide you 48 months of education benefits, but it is actually designed to help that with service-connected disability rating get employment that's not going to be aggravating or causing issues with their disability. They have 4 of the 5 tracks. Our services are geared specifically towards employment. And then also the title and the E in the VR&E stands for their mission statement for employment. They want to make sure that you can earn a living no matter what your disability rating is. You could be 100% or up to 10%, 20%. And if that disability prevents you from working, you could qualify for education benefits. There's other things that are programmed that are optional as well. They will require you to go through resume writing school class, as well as interviewing skills and other workshops to get you to that employable stage. So it's a whole program geared through that, not just, oh, well, you're going to pay for 48 months of benefit for your education and then you're one and done. You can earn your benefits up to 48 months. You can actually collect your BAH while you're collecting that. So if you are interested in using the VR&E benefits and you may be eligible and you're going to use your GI benefits as well, I encourage you to use the VR&E first, because the VR&E benefit, you can only use it for an undergraduate degree for one, and then save that time because your post 9/11 or your forever doesn't expire now. You can use that GI Bill for a later degree, perhaps a master's or a doctorate. Use the GI Bill for your of Chapter 31 first, then your GI Bill. Next slide. And this is some information on how to apply for that, for the Chapter 31. You're going to go to the Readiness and Employment through the va.gov, look out the information for eligibility, and then there's actually an online application process. You can send the information by snail mail to the regional office and apply through the VR&E Intake Center. It's pretty easy to do online, or you can do it at myva.gov, any one of those, or you can talk to a county veteran service officer and they can assist you with that as well. Next slide. The college tuition fee waiver. Derek mentioned this earlier. I'm just going to touch on it real briefly on what this is. We had a couple questions in the Q&A. This is open to dependents for disabled veterans. If you have a 0% disability rating from the VA to 100%, your dependents can be eligible for this fee waiver at any state-funded school. The dependents must be a resident of California, and they must meet the residency requirements for that individual school. Each school has their own residency requirements, so you want to keep that in mind. As long as they meet the ed code, they can have a separate residency requirements for the parents as well. So there are some nuances on the residency requirements for the school, and also for the plans that are available. There's Plan A, B, C, and D. Plan A, you would require the veteran to be a 100% service connected. And there's also a benefit for the spouse under Plan A. Plan B would have, now go back to Plan A. Plan A has an age limit requirement for the dependents to use within age 26 if they're qualified and eligible to use Plan A. And then Plan B, there is no age requirement for Plan B. However, Plan B does have an earning threshold for the student. So there's a limit of, I believe it's around $13,000 a year from the federal poverty level. It changes every year. And they would need to stay below that threshold to be eligible for Plan B. Now, Plan B, or any of Plan B, can be used for multiple dependents. And it can use for multiple degrees. They can use it for a bachelor's, master's, or even a doctorate, as long as the student stays below that threshold under the earning limit. Next slide. And now we'll talk about the Scholar Share, which is the 529 plan for savings for school. We're not experts about this program, but we can talk about it a little bit and give you some insight into maybe perhaps why you would want to use it. Next slide. There's easy and convenient ways for you to save for colleges, and also a tax advantage. And then you can also use it for any school, and it can be used for more than tuition. So that's an added bonus if you're using the college fee waiver for your dependent. You can use this for books and tuition, or books and housing as well if you have that plan. And it can also lower the impact on financial aid for other savings plans. Next slide. Another thing is it's affordable, and then anyone can contribute to it. So not just mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, but maybe aunts or uncles or anybody else's family members can also contribute to this plan for your dependents or even use. And then all unused funds can also be transferred or used for other eligible family members. So if the older child doesn't go to school, then maybe the younger one wants to go, and then you can use it for that. And if no one goes, maybe, hey, mom and dad wants to have a new spa put in or something. I don't know. And then the investment flexibility. And then also you can use it for your estate and tax planning benefits. So it kind of lowers that adjusted gross income. Next slide. This is Aaron Lester's contact information, and he is the contact for that scholar share from the investment board at the Treasury Department of California. Please contact him if you have any questions about eligibility and applying for that 529 and how to get rolling with that plan. Next slide. Chapter 4 in our resource book is going to cover the education, and it's going to talk extensively about the college fee waiver, which plans are available, eligibility, and how to apply. And then if you also go to our website under the education pathway there, you're going to also see the college fee waiver under our California benefits, and you can actually download the application from our website as well. Next slide. Now I'm going to open it up and turn it back over to Derek. And this is my contact information up here if you have any questions about the education. And we're going to open it up, I guess, to the Q&A slides now session, answer any of the questions that came in.
All right. Well, Kirk, thanks a lot. That was really great information in relation to the education pathway. You did a great job covering all that, all the nuances that come with education benefits, right? Because a lot of it, like you said, is so specific to the veterans' needs. So I think you just did a great job kind of, really explaining how it could be applicable to everyone. So that was really great. So my other colleague was monitoring the Q&A. So I don't know if we have any open questions right now, but I think Michael is addressing those questions. So it looks like there have been 8 questions answered, and we don't currently have any more. I do want to just maybe take a look at the chat here, and it looks like Michael was sending some great information out as well. So additional links and resources that you could all follow along with and get some additional information. So this is everybody's contact information for today, myself, Kirk, Anthony as well. And we wanted to include College of the Canyons on there as well. We do thank you all for your participation and partnership with the CalTAP program and allowing us to present this information to student veterans. We really do appreciate it, and we look forward to working with you all in the future. I also wanted to highlight our post-webinar survey, this great big QR code on this slide right here. So I think we can actually also put this link in the chat. We do really value your feedback from these presentations. So we do look at this and we try and utilize the information going forward to make sure that we're giving all of the best information and resources to veterans, student veterans, and their family members here in the state. So if you're on your computer still right now, just please maybe take some time, pull out your smartphone, scan that code, and just take 1 or 2 minutes to fill out our survey. We really would appreciate it. If you would like to participate in any of our future webinars that we have coming up, we have one more on the books for the rest of February in relation to career transitioning and the GI Bill. And then our focus for the month of March is going to be our mental health services, or just information regarding mental health and the webinars for that month. So feel free to follow us along on our Eventbrite, on our Facebook and social media platforms. Send us an email if you would like notifications on how to register for each one of these events. And give it one more time to kind of go over any additional questions that maybe we had come in. Maybe just give it another moment or so. I think Kirk is actively addressing the one question that we have left. So again, if you want to reach out to us, if you didn't get a chance to have your question answered today, feel free to send us an email, and we'll take all the time as needed to work with you personally for any questions that you have. So I believe with that, we can go ahead and conclude. So I want to say thank you to Renard with College of the Canyons. I want to say thank you to Anthony for your information as well. Always a great resource there locally. Kirk and Michael, thank you for your participation as well and monitoring the chat and Q&A. And thank you to all of those who attended today. We had a pretty great turnout. So we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you for your service, of course, as well. And we look forward to the next webinar. With that, take care. We'll sign off and everybody have a great rest of their day. Thanks again.
I'm going to answer this last question live before you shut it off real quick. For the this person asked, they have a bachelor's degree but wanted to get a license in something that's not related to their degree, and asked about the VR&E and if they would provide a good place to start. That's a good question, and I would check with a case manager about that. It's going to be determined on your eligibility for Chapter 31. So if you have a bachelor's degree right now and you're currently employed and your service-connected disability does not prevent you from having gainful employment, the VR&E won't be able to provide you any of that benefit for a certificate. If you're looking for that, I would recommend maybe if it's a community college level, maybe going back to your California Promise or a scholarship for that kind of thing, if it's just a license or a technical school or something like that.
Yeah.
Did you want to add something to that, Anthony?
Well, no, I guess I would agree. I don't have anything to add. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, if they're working and they have gainful employment, that's going to be the caveat with all Chapter 31. And it's not really dependent upon what your disability rating is. It's as long as your disability prevents you from working, because it is an employment program. And I think there's a lot of misinformation about that towards the veterans now. They may not understand the full scope of how that program can help you if you have a disability. So
yeah,
you could have 10%.
I will make a comment though, that so much on the Chapter 31, so much depends on how you frame what you need with your Chapter 31 counselor. So if because of your disability, a bachelor's degree is or a certain program is not enough, and you can explain why that is the case for you, then I think they have the freedom to maybe do unconventional things.
Absolutely.
And that may be some of these unusual areas, but it's going to be, as you mentioned, have to be related to employment,
right?
And it has to be related to why you can't provide for your family. So there's a little bit of leeway there, but it's got to be agreed upon by the counselor prior to.
Yep, I agree. It's an excellent program. I am a recipient of it, so I'm an alumni of the Chapter 31. So I encourage people to apply if they have a service connected in that disability affects them to work. So if they have a degree and maybe they're working in an area, if they're like a first responder or something, and that disability is affecting that area of employment and they have to find something new, so they can really help them get into a place where they're not aggravating that service connected disability any further or causing further harm for them. So it's important to go through that process and apply, talk to a case manager, and they'll work with you on best way of how you can apply that application for you to get approved. They want what's best for you for employment, whether it's another degree or another education or a certificate, or maybe it's just a work program or a workshop. So anything that can help you. So, yep, good program. All right, Derek, we're done.
Yeah, so we just had one more question come in. It said, do we have a webinar for Chapter 35? We have not done a webinar specifically for Chapter 35 benefits, but it is something to take note of, and we could maybe present that information in some capacity in the future for an education webinar. But
survey.
yeah, exactly. So, that is a dependent education assistance program, of course. You can always reach out to us to find out more information, and if you want to, ask any questions, we can help you out. But we'll make note of that, and maybe we can incorporate it in that future. So thanks again for your comment. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and conclude, and hope everybody has a great rest of their day, great rest of their week, and take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you
for your service.